Lindsay, it's great to have you here today. Thank you for coming and talking with me. When did you finish school?
I finished school at the end of 2019. Yeah.
Okay, so you've been finished for just over a year.
Yeah, that's right.
And how was school for you?
So we're going all the way back to primary school as well? Everything?
Tell me about school for you.
So I think primary school I enjoyed most of the time. I found that quite enjoyable. Wasn't stressful at all. Kind of just did my thing. I had some friends in primary school. So that was pretty good. Then going into intermediate, I really didn't like that. Like I had some friends, but I found it pretty toxic. It was like there was a real sort of popularity thing going on. So it wasn't the nicest environment. That might have just been the school I was at. But yeah, it was quite toxic. It was like if you weren't in the popular group, you didn't seem to get as many opportunities and things like that. So I think...
So with that, like even, was that from the teachers that you weren't getting the opportunities, or what was happening with that? The popular group, what was different for them?
So we had student leaders. So there was like a group of 10 kids in year 8. And they'd help organize things and events and stuff like that. But there were a couple of teachers that were like, there was a lot of favoritism going on, not with all the teachers, but like a couple of the teachers. And they're like sort of sporty classes. So certain kids would go into those classes. And then the kids that were selected to be student leaders were always kind of like the, cool, popular kids. And they'd get to like, I can't remember heaps, but they'd just get like selected for sports things and leadership things. And it just seemed very much based on like, I don't know, I guess some of it was like because they were good at sport, but it was sort of very shallow, and that was just like a lot based on the way people looked and stuff like that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. So it was about sport, the way people looked. Was there anything about the way that they were able to study that made them more popular with teachers or with anybody else than others, or nothing to do with that?
At intermediate, I don't think so. I guess, I think the sort of people that were better at studying and more intelligent were quite often the least popular. Yeah, I don't know. I still don't quite understand what was happening, but it just wasn't very nice.
Yeah, I've heard lots of stories that are similar from people going through intermediate. It can either be an incredibly positive experience or really, really shocking.
Yeah, for sure.
So what happened when you went to high school? How did that go?
So I really liked it at first. It was very different from intermediate. I went to co-ed high school. We didn't have a uniform or anything. So it was all very accepting, which was nice. There wasn't really, wasn't as hierarchical, if that's the right word. As intermediate was. It was, most people, or pretty much everyone was accepted. It was quite accepting. So that was really good. So going into year 9 was hard at first because most of my friends had gone to the girls' school in Wellington. So I kind of didn't really know anyone going into it. But year 9 was really good. I enjoyed year 9. I think we kind of just formed a big friend group out of just all the girls in the class. We were just all friends. So that was quite good. And then going into year 10, it all kind of started to go downhill from there, I think. Yeah.
So tell me about that. What happened over the next few years while you were at school?
So year 10 was okay. I had a couple friends, but I kind of just started to drift away from people in year 10. At first I was like, oh, they're just boring. I don't want to hang out with these people. But then like year 11, I had like one friend I'd hang out with. And then by year 12, like I just would not talk to anyone like ever the whole time unless I had to. And a part of that was, I was just like incredibly anxious by year 12, 13. And it got to the point where like it had been so long since I talked to anyone at school that like just going up and talking to someone would just be so overwhelming. So I just didn't. But I think a lot of that anxiety came from the school system and just how stressful it was socially and academically.
Yeah. So can you tell me about that? What's the challenges? You're saying that it's really stressful socially, academically, particularly.
Yeah.
What was going on? What was making it broken for you?
So academically, I think most of in all my subjects, I was like doing all right. Like I wasn't struggling to keep up. It was just that there were so many things going on at a time. And it really, it really got me angry. Like I'd finish year 11 and I'd do all my exams and I'd get like, say 120 credits and you only needed like 80 to pass. So you end up with all this extra stuff. And like, yeah, it's great to learn lots of different things, but the teachers put so much pressure on you to do everything, but you just don't need to do everything. And I think if you did fewer assessments or fewer subjects, you'd actually be able to focus on them and enjoy them. But just having to do so much and always having things due is just, yeah, crazy, really.
Okay. And then, so now coming out of the system and looking back on it, what do you think? Because you've been out of the system now for a year and a bit,
Yeah.
over a year. And so
Yeah.
what are you thinking looking back on it? What do you wish you'd learned?
Yeah, so I guess a lot of the things I wish I'd learned have nothing to do with kind of education in school or anything. But pretty much as soon as I left school, I feel like I just had to completely relearn socializing and everything. Yeah, it was like really weird, but it was really nice to go from the school environment to other places where everyone, different ages, from different, from everywhere. And I felt quite comfortable. I was like, wow, I can socialize with people. Yeah, but during school, it just seemed so hard. And I think part of that was because, everyone's your age and you're just with these same people the whole way through and, never really meeting new people. And I think especially in like the senior years, senior school, everyone's stressed all the time, really. So it's kind of hard to make friendships and hard to be, really kind to people.
It's
Yeah.
really interesting when you're talking about that. So there's stuff that you wish you'd learnt about how to socialize with different people, different ages, how
Yeah.
to deal with that stress.
Yeah, that's the main thing, I think, dealing with stress. We never learned anything about that. But yeah, I think like everyone gets stressed about school. I think even like a huge amount of people get like overwhelmingly stressed and anxious and depressed as a result of it. But yeah, we never really learned anything about dealing with stress. It was just like, here's the work, do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So
Yeah.
what do you wish could be different?
I wish the main thing, I guess, is just having less like assessments within each subject and less subjects. So that, yeah, it just seems crazy that we have to learn so much all the time. It's like you never get a break. So yeah, if you could focus on fewer subjects throughout, I feel like year 9 was okay because didn't matter as much, but throughout the senior school, if like in year 11 and 12, like I don't think any more than 5 subjects, and then just like really fewer assessments, so that, yeah, I guess it's easy to like say that would be good, but I wouldn't know how it would work. But yeah, just less assessments and just less work on the whole.
Yep.
Yeah, be the main thing.
Yeah, I don't know either how we make this work or what needs to change. What I'm wanting to do is to be able to start those conversations going, this is what's not working. This is what people wish they'd learned. And so what can we do? What can we do differently? Because I think the whole system is broke. I think the whole system is broken. And that's what so many other people are saying as well. And there are so many people that are really well-meaning, and there's a lot of sort of tinkering and quite large tinkering, but it's not changing the whole.
For sure.
Yeah. What about the content? If you think about the content of those subjects that you chose, was it interesting? Was it useful? What did you think?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head that was like, that was actually useful for like, you know, in the big picture. Really, the most interesting and useful stuff I learned, I think, was probably in biology, and that was just like, yeah, I guess learning about human evolution I found quite interesting, and then just I guess about animals and plants and everything. I found all of that really interesting, and like I kind of go back to that knowledge sometimes, but especially in maths and physics, like if I was to go into one of those, like a job that involved that, obviously it'd be useful. But yeah, I just feel like there must be something we could learn that would just be more beneficial. I think English, a lot of the stuff we did in English I found quite useful, because I guess being able to write and read well and stuff like that is useful to some degree, but then it's like, do you really need to be doing that for 13 years? So I really think the main subject I think of when I think of things I learned that are useful and interesting would be biology, but even that, there was just way too much going on all the time. I just found like once I'd finished school, I kind of felt like a shell of a person. I just didn't know at all. I mean, I still don't know who I am, but I just was like, felt like I'd spent mainly like the last 5 years especially just like only focusing on school and work all the time. It was like tunnel vision. And then I came out and I was like, wow, like school might be over, but I'm still stressed all the time. And I just, had no idea who I was or who I'd been for the last 5 years. So it was just like, it was crazy. And like I don't think anyone really talked about that. And I probably felt it more than a lot of people, but I think most people would definitely feel like that. Yeah. So it would be amazing to like feel comfortable and confident, you know, going through school, and then to be able to grow more instead of coming out of school and being like, oh no, and, you know, having to kind of start from the bottom, I guess, if that makes sense.